Good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Pitch Track Chronicles. I will Taz, you and Donald, and what's the holidays, my little family reunion. We have Rob hanging out with us as well. So, Rob, how has everything been? What'd you have to do to grace us with your presence today?
Everything's been great. It's been a good last few months. I'll put it that way. And I got an extra day off, so that's really it. I had to go see my friends here, of course, my boys, Donald and Tats. Happy birthday, Donald! It was yesterday, so everyone wish a happy birthday to our boy Donald in the chat. And of
Thanks,
course,
man.
hanging out with these fine people in the chat on a Monday morning. Good to see everybody.
Yeah, it's great to see the three of us back together again. Now I'm feeling like I'm in the holiday spirit. But it's look, the Yankees' lack of activity is starting to get a lot of people with anxiety, kind of feeling the pressure a little bit. And the one name that we were talking about for a while now, not even just this offseason, I think the last two off seasons, with Murakami going to the White Sox. One, I did not see that team coming in, especially on a 2 year deal. Um, Donald, how does this change the outlook of what the Yankees' plan is for first base? Or does it change it at all? They are they that committed to Rice that they're not going to shop around for alternatives?
There's your answer right there, man. Ben Rice is the first baseman. Um, I'm not overly surprised that we didn't get in on Murakami. I think there was some serious concerns about his ability to hit top level pitching. So he only got a 2 year deal. So it's kind of like right, we'll see how you are, and if it works out, we'll extend you, or you can hit the open market again. So that's kind of what it is. So I'm not necessarily surprised with Murakami. Wilson Contreras going to the Boston Red Sox is a far bigger deal because he's a good player. 80 RBIs last year, 20 homers, 80 RBI guy. Bats from the right side. I mean, we could have done with a Wilson Contreras on our lineup. So this idea that Brian Cashman came out and he said that there's no right-handed bats available is a completely fallacious argument. It's completely based on nothing other than his own imagination. There are righty bats available. In fact, one has just gone to the Boston Red Sox. So, and by the way, another went to the Baltimore Orioles, and he's an even better player, Pete Alonso. So, yeah, there were righty bats available, and the Yankees just aren't interested in them. So why don't you just say it instead of lying? Right? Instead of lying, just say it. We're not interested in anybody at first base. We got Ben Rice. There you go. It's frustrating to me, though, because I think Ben Rice would be a really good catcher. And I think first base was an easy way to get a nice, easy upgrade and get a righty bat in there and get some more pop in the lineup. But the Yankees aren't interested in any of that stuff. So the AL East has gone better, and the Yankees have done absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's quite egregious, actually, to be honest, at this stage. But as for Murakami, let's see how he is. I'm rooting for him. I think he's going to be good. God knows what it's going to be like for him going to be in the White Sox. We will see. But I'm rooting for him. I hope Murakami does well over
Yeah. Rob, what was your feeling on it?
Yeah, it was clear as day they weren't going to be in on him. It is interesting though how like a couple of years ago we were hearing about him like, oh, this is the next big thing to come out, next big bat to come out of Japan. Like when this guy comes over here is going to be a feeding frenzy for him. He ends up going to possibly the worst team in the sport. So there was some concerns about his ability to hit velocity, about the strikeouts, and is he just kind of a home run or nothing kind of bat, which he might be fine in Chicago. He might put up 40-something home runs. He might strike out a ton, but hey, if he can put to rest those rumors that he can't hit the high velocity, then he'll be fine. In a couple of years, he's going to get an even bigger contract. I think it's a good move for him to try to prove himself, prove some doubters wrong. I think he's going to hit a ton of home runs. I think he's going to be fine. I think a lot of that is just a lot of people just trying to find criticism just for the sake of finding criticism. I think he's going to be all right over there. It is interesting though, because we were hearing like Yankees, Dodgers. He's going to be in a big market, and then he goes to the White Sox. So it's tough for him. He's probably not going to be able to win, but hey, he might earn himself a pretty big contract in a couple of years' time. So I think it's a win overall for him, chance to prove himself. And yeah, it was clear the Yankees are not in on him. I'm more upset they're not in on Okamoto. I think he's just a perfect fit for this team. Plays first, plays third, plays them both well. Very good defensively. He can play the outfield if needed. He's a righty. He's got pop, so everything Donald just said, Okamoto fits, and we're hearing he's being tied to the Mets now that Red Sox are probably out of it, and the Pirates. So it's like, why are you not jumping in on that? There's a right-handed bat that's going to cost you less than Alonso would have. He's going to cost you less than you're going to end up having to pay Bellinger if you bring him back. I really don't know why they're not in on him. They should be all over Okamoto. Is he not what they're asking for? Like, we want platoon guys so Aaron Boone can mix and match. Well, this guy plays 3 different positions. We need a righty bat. There's one. We want some more pop. He's another one. The guy doesn't strike out. He's a perfect fit for this team, and the Yankees are just like, Paul Blackburn. I'm not really upset about the Paul Blackburn deal because it cost them $2 million, but it's like they are never going to beat those allegations of they're just going to run it back. Because if they bring back Bellinger, it's the exact same team as last year. And that's where my frustration is, I guess. Like, there's still time. Like, all their targets are still available, and players that I hope they bring in are still available. Bichette being one of them, Okamoto, Imai. These guys are all still out there, and there are still trades that can be made. But it's like, man, everyone in the East, even the Rays, even though they've sold off some pieces, they've added pieces as well. Everyone's making moves, and the Yankees have just really done some depth signings, which I've liked I don't really care for the Blackburn move, but I'm not mad about it. But I like the fact that Hill's back. I love the Rosario re-signing, but they're kind of just doing nothing but depth signings, whereas the Red Sox have made like 2 or 3 big moves. The Blue Jays have made several big moves. They're still in on Kyle Tucker. The Orioles have gotten significantly better. So it's like the Yankees, if they really feel like this is the team that can go beat those 3 for the division, whatever they're smoking, they need to give that to the hippies of the world because they're going to love it. It's just a strange thinking process for this front office.
Yeah, I mean, the Blackburn thing, to me, that's a nothing burger. It's just a little bullpen depth. Like you said, we did like the bringing Rosario back. And yet it's just the narrative that they're just running it back with last year's team is, I think, even adding more fuel to the fire of all the frustration. Well, we want to get your questions. We'll answer them as best as we can, as this is a hot stove Q&A. The chat has no restrictions, so if you're watching on Facebook, you're watching on X, you're on Twitter, you do not have to be subscribed to drop your questions, and we will do our best to answer any questions you have. I'm going to kick off the question for you guys. Is if you had to pick one highlight from the 2025 season that really led you to believe that this team could do something, what do you think that was for you?
Man, they didn't really have too many, did they?
It's a short list.
Yeah. Like maybe like the first 3 games against Milwaukee, I was like, hey, these guys know how to hit. Like, who needs a Juan Soto, right? They're fucking 4 pitches, 4 home runs. But most of the moments were either Judge or Bellinger. Like, it was like Judge's home run against Crochet was a lot of their moments were wasted, honestly. For being honest, like the Bellinger catch against the Mets got him a win, but it's like some of the big moments were wasted. Judge's home run against Toronto ended up being wasted. That would have been it had they come back to maybe tie or win that series. And like that was the moment that turned it around. But it probably had to be the first series against Milwaukee. That was the first 3 games of the season, because after that they were still a good team, but there was that summer of hell once again, and they were just kind of mediocre the whole rest of the way through. So it would have to be that first first series of the season, which is saying something about how that team was.
Donald.
I never once thought they were going to do anything this year. Last year, never once thought. So, not for 1 minute did I think the Yankees were going to do anything last year. Thus, I'm just going to have to go with what Rob said when we scored 500 runs in the first week of the season. That was kind of cool. That was about it.
Yeah, I mean, the one that said it to me, and Healing Van Hearts, mirrored that as well. And Rob mentioned it was the Bellinger catch. I thought that was one of those. I mean, if there was ever a moment that could have turned things around, and then I guess second place would have been the Judge home run against Crochet, where everything just looked like we were just done. Like if those two moments didn't turn the team around, nothing was going to. Especially after, just the way the season started with all the pitching going down and just everything just looking lost. Those were and it's really sad when you think about an entire season, outside of all the excitement from the first series with Milwaukee. Those were the only two where you're like, we might have something here. And Donald, to your credit, you were never really that high on them, even with those plays. You all said it was smoke and mirrors. Every player is going to have that one game where where they shine, and the Yankees just were never able to do it. And
I'll give them one thing though. Post deadline, once they got their whole bullpen in order and their pitching in order, they started to look like a team that could compete, and I was quite surprised how little they competed in the postseason against Toronto. Obviously, they got through Boston but it seemed to wear them out. And then once they got to Toronto, they just completely ran over by a truck. I'm surprised that they gave up so easily against Toronto. I thought that would have been actually a really tough series. I thought it would have been pretty tight. So that was one thing. I thought maybe the Yankees had a team that could have maybe given Toronto a run and actually take it to, at least like a deciding game. You know what I'm saying? So that was a little bit of a surprise to me. But no, I think overall, I was not surprised at what happened or how it happened or how it transpired. So it is what it is. I thought 24 was a much better year with Juan Soto and stuff like that. That was genuinely exciting.
Yeah.
There was a special team that should have won the World Series with a little bit of better management. I think they probably would have beaten the Dodgers and won the World Series just with a little bit better management, just a little bit more attention to detail, a little bit better scouting about the Dodgers' weaknesses and very few weaknesses. Let's not say they've got lots of weaknesses, but and just a little attention to detail about running the bases properly and throwing to the right base and all those kind of things, covering the right base. Then the Yankees probably would have won the World Series. And then we would be speaking a completely different tune. We would have Juan Soto with us for the long term, and we would have an exciting team. Unfortunately, that's not how it's transpired because Aaron Boone. Let's just call it what it is. Aaron Boone was probably the main reason why we didn't win a World Series. It's the facts. The better manager.
Well,
we beat the Dodgers.
Yeah, we do have a question here from FJ. He goes, the Jays, Orioles, and Red Sox are better than last year. Why does Cashman believe the Yankees are good as is when all things aren't equal?
He's delusional. he's smoking the good stuff. I don't know. The Yankees are not a bad team, but yeah, those other three teams are now better than they were, and the Blue Jays were just an out away from winning or one base hit away from winning the World Series. So the fact that team is now better and are still in on the top free agent, that can make them even better than they were last last year is kind of scary. The Red Sox are a good team that made the playoffs and probably could have beaten us. A lot of other series would have kicked our ass. So they're better now, and they're still possibly in on Alex Bregman, bringing him back. So they're a much better team. The Orioles should have been better last year, and now they've gotten better. They've added. So the Yankees right now, as is, they are probably at best the third best team in the division. And the fact that they are not in on any of these big names besides Bellinger, which is just running it back, is very telling about how they think about this team. They think their shit doesn't stink, which we all know the roster isn't terrible. It's just their processes. Whatever their process is that they think is so great, they don't think it's an issue, and they haven't thought it's an issue. And the only person that they really held accountable was the first base coach. So it's like the Yankees are the reason the Yankees think that they are better than these other teams. They can look at their roster and go, well, you may get Kyle Tucker, but you don't have Ryan McMahon. And that's how they're going to look at it. Like, well, we have Trent Grisham for 1 year. Well, you guys are going to give Tucker 11. It's not the same thing. Like, they're not the same player by any means. So, and it's the Yankees' philosophy is their downfall, and that's why they believe that they are better than everybody else. That's why Jeff Passan said recently the other day that the Yankees they feel very good about their team as is, that they can go win the American League East. And it's just like, that's pretty confident. I try to be as positive as I can, but I can't sit here and tell you I think this is the best roster in the division. It's not.
Facts.
Yep.
Absolutely facts.
Bring up this question. We got Chris North. Chris, how is everything going? It's great talking to you on the phone the other day. As we were talking before the show about our processes of keeping up with people, but she's saying the Yankees playing it conservatively because of CBT and upcoming CBA. Donald, we've talked about this before, but explain your mindset of where you think with the CBA, how this is affecting the Yankees all season.
Yeah, but they're overly conservative about it. They're overly worried about it. Do you think the Dodgers give a shit? When the Dodgers manager was asked about, are you worried about any potential changes post CBA, were you worried about maybe a salary cap? He was like, no, we're going to be dominant regardless. We are going to dominate. That's his words. He said, we are going to dominate. Right? So it doesn't sound like a team that's overly worried there. Do you think the Toronto Blue Jays give a shit? They just signed Dylan Cease, and they're talking to Kyle Tucker. And Bo Bichette is there as well. They're probably talking to him as well. Think they give a shit? No. Do you think the Orioles give a shit after signing Pete Alonso? No. It's the Yankees. It's just another excuse. That's just another excuse. It's like Hal is thinking. He's thinking that he's playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers, but in reality, he's just playing broke. He's playing broke. He's not broke, but he's playing it. And it's the worst thing about it is not just the fact that he's lying to himself and the Yankees are lying to themselves, saying that they're already a great team. They're not. But it's not that they're lying to themselves. It's the fact that they've lied to Aaron Judge. They have lied to Aaron Judge. They have looked at him square in the face and lied to him, because Aaron Judge came back not to get the captaincy. He came back to win a championship. That's why he came back. That's why he signed. And Hal Steinbrenner said to him, they'll do whatever it takes to do that for him. Since then, they have lied to him mercilessly. And they're lying to him again this year. because they are not trying to win a championship this year. Not at all. They're worried about potential penalties years in advance. That is not a team that's hell-bent on winning. And I feel terrible for Aaron Judge. This guy has been playing like God for the last couple of years. You're not guaranteed it every year. In fact, you're barely guaranteed it for 1 year. He's been giving it to you multiple years. And the Yanks are just sort of like, yeah, we're just going to bank that, thanks. We'll just continue to bank that. We'll take all that money, thank you very much. And we're going to sit on it. And then we're going to say that this offense is fantastic. It's fantastic because of Aaron Judge. Not fantastic because of the 8 other guys. It's Aaron Judge and 8 other guys. That's the freaking lineup, right? Now, I'm not saying they all suck, but it's Aaron Judge, man. Like, he's on another planet, right? That's why the numbers were good last year. So don't lie to us and say that, oh, it's because this whole lineup was cooking. It really wasn't. Anthony Volpe could bat his weight. Neither could our third baseman. Jazz Chisholm's head is in the clouds. He's yawning during the playoffs, for Christ's sake. We've got a catcher playing first base, and our catcher couldn't hit last year. So don't lie to me and tell me that this whole lineup is fantastic. It's not. Aaron Judge made it fantastic. Let's be honest. He made it fantastic. And they're lying to him. They're absolutely barefaced lying to him. So I feel bad for him. I feel bad for us as fans because we have to freaking endure this nonsense of the Yankees playing poor. But the biggest the biggest shame in all this is that Aaron Judge is a generational player, and they're wasting him. And they'll deny it, but they're wasting him. And it's a shame.
I mean,
here's the guy that's bringing everybody to the, everybody's coming to the ballpark to see Judge, and you're not even rewarding the guy for everything that he's doing, carrying this team on his back. But Rob, what's your thought?
No, they are wasting him. This is the best play, in my opinion. He's the best player in the sport. He's definitely the best hitter. And if it wasn't for the fact that Ohtani's an amazing pitcher, you'd probably easily give him the title of best player in the sport. They're wasting it. They're simply wasting it. They've had opportunities to surround him with multiple stars, and it wouldn't have cost them nearly as much as certain players are going to cost them now. And that's the problem. Is this is something that we've been talking about for years, even before the show was even a thing. Yankee fans were discussing the guys they could have had to surround Aaron Judge with. They started off well, getting him Giancarlo Stanton immediately. It's like, wow, they're really going for this. They're back to being what the Yankees were always about. Then the next offseason, they just were like, oh, well, we could penny pinch a little bit, spend cheaper to get good players. And it worked for a little bit, and then it didn't work. And you have the best at the end of his career, he might end up being on the Mount Rushmore of Yankees. That's how good he is. Like what he's been doing these last few years, 3 MVPs in the last 4 seasons, and he would have probably won 4 straight had he not gotten hurt in 2023. That's how much of an insane run he's on right now. And the Yankees have done jack shit to surround him and help him win a championship. He finally got that monkey off his back in the playoffs this year. Like, oh, he can't do it in October, though. He can't do it. He's a regular season merchant. Not this year. That man was a one-man show. He hit, 500 in the postseason? Like, you couldn't get him out. He had the biggest hit we've seen in a Yankee playoff game in a long time, and they wasted it because nobody else could perform. And the Yankees want to run that team back. And there was an earlier question, I think it might have been from TC, if they go into the season with this roster, how many wins do you see them having? I mean, when it gets healthy, 88, 89, they're going to lose to the same teams they lost to last year. It might lose more. It's just, they haven't done anything. And yeah, there's still time. It's just, what they're doing to Aaron Judge is a disservice because he is getting older. He's not going to be doing this for too much longer. He might have another, at his rate, maybe another 4 years like this, if we're lucky. And that's pushing it because he's going to be pushing like 38 soon. He's going to be turning 34 next year. So time's ticking with him, with Cole. Like, who knows what Cole is? Like, they're doing a disservice to Garrett Cole. They're doing a disservice to Giancarlo. These guys have been the backbone of this team for years now, and they haven't done much of anything to surround them with a championship caliber roster or a championship caliber process. That's another thing they have not done well. They have really failed the stars on this team by and again, it's telling me, bring this up all the time, their best player doesn't use their process for his hitting. And their second best hitter now is Ben Rice. Does he use the Yankees hitting coaches? No. So, like, again, I'll repeat myself once again. The best changes they can make. I'm going to start tattooing this on my freaking arm. The best changes they can make is internal. Because unless the Yankees change their own ways internally, we're going to see the same old shit. And we're seeing more evidence that they don't care to change it, because every year they tell us the same nonsense. We're still good. We believe in this team. We just won 94 games, but you crapped out when it mattered most again. And they're still going to sit there and tell you we're fine. Yeah, you're a really good regular season team. I won't take that away from you. 94 wins, nothing to scoff out. Should have been 104, but you didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings and take a certain player out of the closer role for as long as you waited for, and you also had to go and change the defensive alignment for no reason. You couldn't admit that your process is what turned Anthony Volpe from a top 5 prospect to the worst player in baseball over the last 3 years. Statistically speaking, he's worse than pretty much everybody out there, especially at shortstop. But no, he's fine. In your mind, he's still elite. He's still got a lot to prove to you. What are we doing here? They can never admit when something they did was wrong. So it's like the Yankees, yeah, that's just how it is. And they are doing such a disservice to Aaron Judge. What we're witnessing is historic. And that's not me just being a Judge super fan, or, oh, you're just so biased towards Aaron Judge. That's just the fact. There are fans of the Red Sox I'll see on Instagram pages be like, man, I can't stand the Yankees, obviously, but it'd be a shame if that guy does not win a ring. I think even Jared Carabas, however you say his name, who's like, yeah, the most anti-Yankee person you can have. He's like, I want to see him win a ring. You know how much it probably pained him to say that? Yeah. Like, even the biggest Red Sox fan of the world wants, or one of the biggest Red Sox fans in the world, wants to see this man win a ring. That's how good he is for the sport. And the Yankees are just kind of like, you know what would really help us win a championship? Paul Blackburn.
Oh, God.
Well, there's your golden ticket right there, man. You're right. You know, Paul Blackburn. There's the resolution to this whole fucking debacle.
A guy with 6.85 ERA. He had a 6.85 ERA with the Mets, and he came to us at a 5.28 ERA. Oh, he got better. Right, let's sign him $2 million. You couldn't find a pitcher for $2 million on the outside market that doesn't have a 6 ERA. He was not even above a replacement level player, and we signed him to 2. I hated that signing. I thought it was disgusting. That says to me they have no scouting. None.
No.
They don't scout. You could I'm telling you, there are pitchers available sitting on the market right now that'll probably be the same price, that are better than Paul Blackburn. But the Yankees aren't bothering to do it because they're lazy. They're a lazy-ass organization right now. They are lazy and self-satisfied. And John's got a question. Salute to John. What is Cashman doing this offseason? Is he going to make moves or not? Well, let's open up to the panel.
Well, he's made moves. It's just we don't like the moves that he's made, you know, or it's leaving us hungry for more. You know, the Rosario move, yeah, that was a good move. It's a solid bench piece. Can't argue that one. You know, the giving Grisham the QO, that could be debated till the first pitch of the season. You know, whether that's going to work out or not. But then when you respond, you know, your next kind of move is Blackburn. Yeah, it seems like, you know, anytime I feel the Yankees are getting momentum and getting themselves back into the offseason and getting involved with players that are substantially better than what we had last year, you bring back a guy that we got rid of. Well, if he was so great, why'd you get rid of him in the first place? You know, so it's like they're running it back with the same players from 2025. And we know how that season ended. So why would you repeat what didn't work? So yeah, it's not that he's not making moves. He's not making moves that are really substantially better.
What's the definition of insanity, Tats?
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
There you go. I do think they're going to make at least one. I don't want to say significant because I don't think they're going to spend big on anybody unless it's Bellinger, which is a problem. And that's why I said, like, whenever we were doing the show about Grisham, I think it could end up being a good thing, or it should end up being a good thing that Grisham took that QO because it should take them out of the hunt for Bellinger. Because you got your outfielder for one season, and you don't really have to be locked into him. If he struggles, you can put him to the fourth outfielder. It's going to be an expensive fourth outfielder, but you don't have any future commitment. If you pay Bellinger 6 years or whatever it may be to get him back at $30 million plus, and he's bad, you're gonna have to keep playing him because you just paid him. Whereas if Grisham's bad this year, Spencer Jones is ready, so he can come right up and take that job. Or you can go get another outfield bat right now, and you can use Grisham as kind of a, I don't want to say platoon guy, but you don't really have to be locked into him because it's a 1-year commitment. If he's terrible, you can honestly cut him and just pay him not to play for you, kind of like what they did with Donaldson this last year, with Stroman last season, even with LeMahieu. You can make that's a tough decision, but you can make that decision. Whereas with Bellinger, you got to play him every day. And if he's bad, you're just wasting money. That's why I think the Grisham QO should be a wake-up call for the Yankees. Okay, the money that we were gonna use for him can go elsewhere. Just go use that money on a right-handed bat. Whether it's Bo Bichette that is now saying he wants to play second or he will switch to second base. All right, maybe that opens up the possibility of, I don't want to trade him, but maybe you can get creative and move Jazz Chisholm for other pieces. Get that right-handed bat. Or you go in on the Okamoto sweepstakes, outbid everybody else, get him and Imai, get yourself back into the Japanese market in that regard. Get 2 very good players at a much cheaper price than it would cost you to get Dylan Cease and Cody Bellinger. Imai is going to cost less than Cease. He might cost less than King. I don't know if he will, but Okamoto is for sure going to cost less than Cody Bellinger or Kyle Tucker. Why are you not in on that? If you want Rosario playing first base now, what are we doing here? Amanda Rosario is going to start playing some first base when you can just go bring in a big right-handed bat that already plays first, because now Ben Rice can catch, he can play first, he can DH, he's going to get everyday at-bats. There are ways to get creative, there are ways to platoon this roster and still have a really good lineup every single day. I actually think Ryan McMahon's going to have a good season. I don't think he's going to be fantastic or he's going to win any awards, but I think he's going to be fine this year. I think people are kind of like sleeping on him. This is a guy that can hit 20 home runs plus easily, especially at Yankee Stadium. Superb defensively. If he's just a 700 OPS kind of guy at the bottom of the lineup, fine. I think he's in for a good year. I'm concerned with shortstop because I don't know if Cabby's the guy for a full season. I love him. I don't know if he's a guy you want there all year long. Definitely don't want to see Anthony Volpe at this point. And you have an opportunity to go make some moves in the infield. I thought Ha-Sung Kim would have been a good addition, but not for $20 million. It's just there's ways to get creative, and they're just not doing it. So I don't know what they're going to do. If it's trades, are they willing to get rid of some of their top prospects? Are they willing to move Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez? Because you didn't do it 2 years ago when Jones's value was higher. It's actually not as high as people think it is right now. Scouts are still kind of not so high on the guy. You thought he would have jumped up to like number 1 or number 2. He's actually below Dax Kilby on the top 5 for Baseball America. Dax Kilby was just drafted in the first round by the Yankees, and they don't even have Spencer Jones above him yet. So there's still a little skepticism about him, what he's going to be at the major league level. I really wish I knew what the hell he was going to do, John. I don't know what he's going to do, but right now it seems like he's very content with what they have and spending as little as possible for depth moves, and that's concerning.
Yeah, so I'm completely on board with you regarding Okamoto. Okamoto should be targeted regardless.
Yeah.
Regardless of Cody Bellinger. Absolutely regardless. Yeah, and we were obviously thinking the same thing, man. It's like if you're going to force Rosario to play first base, which he's never played before, why don't you just sign Okamoto? He's a righty bat. You can platoon him with Ben Rice. Ben Rice can also platoon a catcher, so you don't need to then look for another catcher. That solves like two birds with one stone. Plus, he's a righty bat, and plus he can play some third base, so we could actually platoon with McMahon as well. But even if you keep Okamoto at first base, right? Rosario can play third. He can play short. He can also play some outfield. So he's going to get plenty of at-bats anyway. So then you don't need to worry necessarily about Cabby at shortstop because Rosario can play short. Now, he's not a good shortstop, but neither is Anthony Volpe, so there's no harm there. Right? So Rosario can play shortstop. He can play third. He can play a bunch of positions. And by the way, they never used Rosario last year after acquiring him. So now all of a sudden he's a priority. Miss me. Absolutely miss me. So anyway, they got that. That's what they should do. Okamoto should be a heavy target. Another one that should be looked at. I'm looking a lot at righty bats right now, and I think Bo Bichette makes a ton of sense. You could he opens up a ton of options. He could play short. Well, he is naturally a shortstop, but he can play short. But also, you could actually move him to second base. And then Jazz Chisholm, who, from what I understand, I don't think the Yankees have any intentions of extending him right now. But if that's the case, then you could move Jazz to either center field, right? So you've still got that power. You're not losing that bat. And if they don't sign Cody Bellinger, you could move Grisham to left field. Now, I know he's strictly a center fielder, but his numbers in center field were declining, so I wonder whether he might transition over to left field. You could do that. You could have Jazz play center field, move Grisham over to left field, and then at second base you go big Bo Bichette, baby. That makes a lot of sense. So that's something I would consider. Cody Bellinger, I wouldn't consider long-term, especially not at the years that I'm hearing. He's won between 6 and 8 years. That's absurd. You can go and find another team for that, bro. I'm not paying you for 6 to 8 years. That's insane. So that was a problem when I heard that he was his agent was Scott Boras. I was just like, this guy's just going to want the money, the maximum money. And God bless him for it, as he should, but I probably should take the Yankees out of it. So that's how I would pivot. And I also would have, to be honest, I would have looked at first base. I would have looked at Pete Alonso or Wilson Contreras. I would have done that, but that's past now, so it is what it is. But that's how I would pivot. Okamoto and Bo Bichette. That's how I would pivot.
And this question here with Stevie B was: do we see the bullpen better last year with 10 blown saves with Williams, and how bad Weaver was after injury? He's asking if we can't see them winning 94 to 97 games in the coming season. That's going to be a tough hill to climb.
They have to add at least one more impact arm at the back end.
Yeah.
I would call up San Diego and see what they want for. They're not going to trade Mason Miller, but I would give up just about anything for Mason Miller. That's a guy that's right up the. I wanted him last year at the deadline. He's right up the Yankees' alley. They don't want to pay for relief pitching. He's under team control for 5 years. So is I'm forgetting his name. Is it Estrada? They have lefties. Wandy Peralta's still there. Yuki Matsui's still there. Adrian Morejon, I think that's how you pronounce it. He's there. They got some good arms in that bullpen. I'd call them up, especially if you go sign Imai. And I think it was just brought up by Doran. Someone brought it up. The Yankees, if they sign him, are going to have cost-controlled starting pitching. Teams want that, so you can make a deal with San Diego. I'm just saying, other teams have bullpen arms. You don't have to go spend top dollar for it because bullpen arms are at a premium right now. Like the Yankees are probably not going to be paying Bednar next year and he's going to be a free agent. And they probably won't pay Doval either in 2 years. If you can go get some controllable bullpen arms now via the trade market, use that starting pitching you have in your system to get it. I would do it. It's just they got to make some moves before they do that, though, because right now your rotation's thin. You got 3 guys that are on the shelf until at least May with Rodon and then eventually Cole and then Schmidt mid-season. If Yarbrough goes down, he's your number 5. So who is your number 5 starter then? Blackburn? Is that what they brought him in for? Long relief swingman? God help us if that's the case. So they still have to get starting pitching. They still have to get bullpen help. They should be better, but we thought that last year when we brought in Devin Williams to replace Clay Holmes. That's what I said. I'm like, oh, they're going to win 90-something games again because they're not going to have the Clay Holmes problem. Well, they had an even worse problem. Devin Williams was arguably worse than Clay Holmes last year as a closer. So they still had that issue.
This season.
Clay Holmes was pretty damn good last year as a starting pitcher.
Yep.
And Doran, that's a lot to put on the kid. ERC, who's now, I think he got rid of the Cruz in his name, but that's a lot to put on him. He's saying this guy just jumped up from like single A to triple A, and now he's going to be the next man up. And I know Schlittler made that jump. Are we going to expect every single young starter to do what Cam Schlittler did? You're putting expectations on people that should not be put on them, and that you're setting yourself up for disappointment. So the Yankees, even though they have young, talented arms in the system, they should still be looking heavily at starting pitching, whether it's Imai or in the trade market. And we'll see what they do. But that bullpen right now, I do not trust it. I trust Bednar and maybe Tim Hill. Everybody else, I'm very iffy on. I'm iffy on, especially on like Fernando Cruz. I don't know what he is. Jake Bird, woof, I can't be trusting on him. Who's our other lefty? Hedrick? Yeri De Los Santos, like he was fine last year, but can I say I trust him? No. Doval, I can't trust him after last year. Maybe he'll be better. He should be. He's got the stuff to be, but the bullpen, you got two quality arms and a bunch of question marks. There's some work to be done.
They've not touched the bullpen.
No, nope.
We're at Christmas, and the Yankees have not touched their bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
It is crazy at this stage, but yes, Imai would be amazing. I'm still rooting for Imai. I'm a little worried that he might go elsewhere because the more I think about it, with Jack Curry saying not to expect it, then I'm starting to think not to expect it because
I know. Well, the reports are don't expect anybody. Is
all right.
The names that are out there, the Yankees are, they're not looking in that direction. Well, they're not looking anywhere. That's the problem, and something's got to give. It's driving all of us crazy.
And then, of course, you heard that Aaron Boone said that the Yankees didn't even have a meeting with him.
What?
And he's
apparently nobody has.
All right, okay. Well, they have not really pursued him, according to Aaron Boone. Really.
Well, I think what Boris was saying was that this is his agent, Boris, whoever the fuck his agent is, was saying that they're waiting to narrow down the playing field. But we've heard the Yankees be linked to him by several different reporters already. Right. I think Romero said that we're a finalist with the Cubs. Heyman's been saying we're in on Imai. Jack Curry, he's been wrong more than he's been right lately, which is kind of concerning because he's got ties to the organization. Remember, he thought we were going to get Christian Walker last year. So anything can happen, and I think he has till January 2nd to sign. Yeah, so there's still time.
There's 2 more weeks before they have to go back.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's got till the 2nd, and I think Okamoto is till the 5th. They're right around the same date almost, those two. Yeah, so they're going to wait to set up meetings.
That he isn't even sure if the Yankees are planning on meeting him.
They should. If they don't, my goodness.
It doesn't even, but I think we can all agree, though, the way that Boone spoke doesn't give you the most confidence.
He never does.
No, he never gives us any confidence. But normally, if the Yankees are hot for a player, he kind of has a little shit-eating grin. You know what I'm saying? He's kind of got this semi-confidence that something will get done. But on this occasion, it just didn't sound like the Yankees are into it at all. But I'm hoping that is different this time. But I'm not overly confident.
Yeah, thank you, Armai. I knew it was January 2nd for Imai, which I wasn't sure about Okamoto's, but yeah, they're 2 days apart from each other. They should be in on both of them. It's not going to cost you nearly as much as people think it would. That actually helps the Yankees out in multiple areas, especially Okamoto. We want platoon. We want right-hander. We don't want to spend as much. Is that not him? Like,
I mean, it's
he
sitting
checks
right in
all
front of
those
you.
boxes. Yeah, he's right in front
right
of
in
you.
front of
Aaron.
us.
There you go.
If you want to bring that term back, it's right in front of them and they can't even see it. Armand puts his comment in. Don't be surprised if teams freeze out the current market until February, when pitchers and catchers report to get free agents on short term with opt out deals. And this is something that's always in play every offseason. I think that's why they really the baseball offseason needs a complete overhaul, and maybe we'll get into deeper into that in another show. But how much of a problem do you think it would be if the Yankees just really try to wait out the market so long to try to get those short-term deals with the opt-outs? Like this, I think would really cripple the way that the offseason operates.
Well, we thought they would do that 2 years ago for Blake Snell, and they didn't do it. We thought they would do that last year for Bregman, and they didn't do it. So I don't see them doing it now. Bellinger's not taking another opt-out deal. He wants at least 5, and I don't think he's going to get it from the Mets because they don't want to give out more than a 5 or 6 year deal. I hope they give it to him. So I don't want the Yankees overpaying for him. I like Bellinger. I think that's a bad decision. They can use that money so many other ways. You want to pay $100 million to your entire outfield? I think that's a terrible decision.
I completely agree with that.
Yep.
The weird thing is Brian Cashman doesn't do opt-out deals, because we've had several opportunities where you've had positions of need literally sitting in the free agent market while we're heading into spring training, and the Yankees haven't even entertained it. So clearly they have a budget, because they didn't have a third baseman until the trade deadline. Until the entire trade deadline, the Yankees did not have a third baseman. Meanwhile, Alex Bregman was sitting in free agency long enough for the Red Sox to pick him up on an opt-out deal. So, and there's the same deal with Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso was literally sitting in free agency long enough for the Mets to go like, well, we don't really want you back, but all right, if you pull my arm strong enough, here's an opt-out deal. Now they're regretting it, because they probably should have just given him a proper extension, because the guy absolutely bossed it last year. But the Yankees weren't in on any of those opportunities. And that is not normally what the Yankees are like. The Yankees are normally really astute. And that's why it's just a different ownership now. It's a different complacent GM now, where, like, if that same scenario happened, I would say even 2018, 2019, pre-COVID, then I think the Yankees would have signed Alex Bregman or Pete Alonso or something like that, and have been like a big FU to the league and a big excitement around the fan base. But now that was totally different. Now it's just like self-satisfied and lying to your fans is the new Yankee way. And it's a shame, because they should be taking advantage of these market opportunities, but they haven't. And I'm not confident that they're going to do anything this year either. Opt-out deals kind of make a lot of sense. In fact, it plays right in the Yankees' hands, because what did Brian Cashman say recently? The Yankees are a short-term organization. They always have to go short-term. Thus, what could be better than signing a star on a short-term deal that has an opt-out? The Yankees don't even believe their own lies. Let's be honest. They can't even follow up on their own lies. Oh, we're a short-term organization. All right, well, there's a superstar sitting in a short-term deal. Do you want to sign him? No, can't afford it.
Yeah, I'm tired of it coming down to more so the money than the contract, or the years rather. Because we asked ourselves that question the last show, Donald. Would we rather, overpay for Tucker in salary or overpay Bellinger in years? Which way would the Yankees benefit more? It's a tough question to answer. But I want to bring up this one here from Stuff and Things. Since the Dodgers will have a versatile lineup, so if one guy is slumping, somebody else can pick up the slack. The Yankees don't have that. If Judge slumps, they get nothing from the rest. Rob, what do you think on that?
It's true. I mean, we saw it last year when Judge was coming back from the injury and he was not himself for like a good 2-3 weeks. It was just Stanton, and the offense was scuffling. That's why I wanted them to be in on Tommy Edman 2 years ago. That's why I wanted them to be in on so many of those, even platoon guys. Like, that's why I would love a Brendan Donovan on this team. Guys that can play multiple positions to where if someone needs to sit, you're not sacrificing your offense or your defense to bring in a bench guy. That's why I do like the Rosario move, because he can play all over the place and he's a good hitter against lefties. But I'm glad we'll have Cabrera back. But yeah, that's kind of how it is. The Dodgers can just plug in anyone. Like, oh, here's Andy Pages. He'll come in and just crush the ball when we need him to. Here's Tommy Edman. Here's Kim, who struggled when they brought him in last year, but then he got recalled and was great. So they find a way to just make good moves and have a good roster top to bottom, that whenever they have an injury, they find a way to fill it pretty quickly. And that's what Hal Steinbrenner was saying before the years. Like, we'll see how they do with injuries and stuff. And then, well, they won the World Series again, and they had a lot of injuries. Their rotations hurt every single year. Doesn't seem to phase them. They didn't have Ohtani pitching for half the season. Didn't matter, because we'll just go spend on a Blake Snell because we can. And they're like, hey, we need a bullpen arm. We'll just go get Edwin Diaz because we can. They'll get anybody they want, and they're probably still in on Kyle Tucker. If they really want him, they probably can go get him. And guess what? The rest of their bench will be fine if they do that. So, yeah, they're just a stacked team. And the Yankees, they don't have to have a stacked top 1 through 12 on the roster. They don't have to have everybody be an all-star. We're not asking for that. But last year, Pablo Reyes was on the bench for like a good 3 months. And he was playing significant games against lefty pitching because he can hit lefties. And Donald famously compared him to Pablo Escobar. So he is, at this point, he is the bigger terrorist. But it's just like, that's what they were doing. Like 2 years ago, it was Jahmai Jones. He was taking up spots on the bench. Billy McKinney's of the world, and we know the Fantastic Four, as they're famously called in our chat. So that's what they do. Instead of just going and making better moves for just a little bit more money, they can just get an overall better roster, which is exactly why, again, I want Okamoto, because you're able to do that stuff, and your bench is going to be better because of it, and your team's going to be better. It just fits what they want to do. And I don't know why they're not in on him. Like the Zach Short signing they made yesterday for like a minor league deal, I'm not looking too far into that, but with the way the Yankees are, he might be on the opening day roster. Because now we can have Cabby be all over the place. So it's just like, that's how they work. And the Dodgers are in a different stratosphere. They have a high luxury tax bill, yeah, but you know what they also do, Doran? They win. And they win a lot.
That's a really interesting tweet here from Jack Fungo. So, shout out to him. This guy is does MLB analytics through a Yankee lens. So people underestimate the opportunity cost. People underestimate the opportunity cost of signing a guy like Blackburn. The opportunity cost isn't the $2 million; it's the roster spot. Sure, if he sucks, he can be cut, but giving him a deal prevents the Yankees from adding someone else. Now they've got less room to add an actual MLB arm. That is a really good point. And Julian Gilarte, who we've had on the show a couple of times, says in reply that he completely agrees. I'm sure they could find a way to add another bullpen arm if they wanted to, but this makes it a lot more difficult. That's why I didn't like the signing, because if anyone listens going, why are they complaining about a $2 million signing? It is the opportunity cost. So a shout out to that tweet. The Yankees don't have much room on the 40-man or on their roster to add another bullpen arm, and they're using it up on shitty arms that they could that with a little bit of a better process, with some actual analytics, with some actual scouting, could find somebody from outside the organization that would give you less than a 6 ERA. So I completely agree with that tweet, and that's why I hated that signing. I think it was just
No, because what's the one thing we've been saying since our inception? It's not that the Yankees don't spend; they just don't know how to spend. The way they manage their money is complete trash.
Right. It's like sometimes you got to sacrifice the more money for the better brand.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're gonna buy Charmin toilet paper, you're just gonna keep buying like the one ply that costs you less, but eventually you're gonna have to keep buying more of it because it keeps breaking on you. And it's a terrible comparison because we're talking about shit, but the Yankees have been shit in the way they operate, so it kind of is working there. And stuff and thing, I don't know who brought up Pablo Reyes in a positive light. I was bringing him up because, and who's Joe? I was bringing him up because he's terrible. That's what I was saying. The Dodgers had a really good bench. We had Pablo Reyes. That's the difference. I ain't talking about Pablo Reyes in a positive way, and I don't know who the hell Joe is. None of us are named Joe on this panel.
But stuff and things. That's an interesting point here because he's mentioned this a couple times in the chat. The Dodgers have a versatile lineup, so if one guy is slumping, somebody else picks up the slack. The Yankees don't have that. If Judge slumps, they get nothing from the rest. That is a freaking ace point, and it speaks to why the Yankees are overrating their lineup, and that's partly why I don't rate the lineup as highly as the Yankees do, because a lot of the great things that happened last year to that lineup, a lot of it was because of Aaron Judge. And yeah, they got a decent year from Cody Bellinger, but it wasn't like an earth-shattering year. It was a solid 800 OPS year, 29 homers, 90 RBIs. I mean, that's good, but it's not like earth-shattering. And that was kind of, I think Jazz was fine. He did his thing, get a good year, another 800 OPS guy. But, well, the rest of the lineup was kind of a bit of a question mark. I don't know. I fully expect Trent Grisham to have him a decline. I don't expect him to have the same year. He's going to decline. We've not seen anything from Austin Wells yet that would give us any confidence. McMahon, the Yankees think that they're going to – he's been in the league for like 7 years, and he's been exactly the same player. Do you think he's going to suddenly turn into this massive freaking beast at third base offensively? No. He's a great glove, though, and I'm perfectly happy with him, but an offensive machine, no. And then Volpe, again, same thing. What the Yankees have done to that kid, they massacred his swing. And shout out to A-Rod, because A-Rod pointed that out, and that it's an organizational philosophy that they have that is hurting their players. And it is interesting, Rob points out that our two best hitters, in my opinion, are Aaron Judge and Ben Rice. Neither of them use the Yankees hitting philosophy / hitting coach. They have their own one. And the proof is in the pudding. But the ones that have to rely on the Yankees hitting coaches is in the Yankees hitting philosophy. Especially if they're coming out of our system. But the Yankees will never going to admit to that. But that's the truth. They massacred Anthony Volpe's swing. His swing is shot because he came in to the majors with someone that had a fairly decent swing and was able to hit to all fields, and he was never going to be a power guy. He was someone that if you get him on base, he might be able to steal some bases. He might be kind of useful in that regard. The Yankees were like, no, you have to hit 20 home runs. So he turned him into a pull hitter, and now he can't even bat 100. And now he isn't hitting home runs or he's hitting for average. Absolutely massacred that kid. But I don't like the kid anyway, so he sucks. But the Yankees didn't help him for sure. Austin Wells, are they helping him? He was hitting hard in the minors. Come up, he's barely hit his weight in the majors. I mean, you could keep giving these guys multiple opportunities, but if you're not fixing the holes in their swing, then nothing's going to change. So I don't rate it. So I completely agree with Stuff and Things here. The Yanks don't really have a versatile lineup. It's all everybody's trying to hit home runs.
Yep. And squeeze in a couple more comments here. I want to bring this one up because you brought up the whole thing with McMahon. And, are we surprised that they haven't brought up Eugenio Suarez as a possibility to bring onto the team? Because we're always, we're complaining. We're bringing up the issue of, he's got the glove where he doesn't have the bat. Well, Suarez is the other way around. What would you rather have? Would you rather have more of a solid glove on the hot corner or the bat to protect Judge in the lineup?
Well, I wanted Suarez last year because we could have used that bat in the playoffs. We certainly could have used that bat in the playoffs. I know McMahon's glove was phenomenal, but man, we could have used a bat like that in the playoffs. I think it's too late for that now. Because where are you going to put him? You're not going to pay 2 third basemen over $30 million total, or maybe $40 million total to platoon. You're just not doing it. Unless Suarez DHs, but then what happens to Stanton? Is this during a Stanton injury stint? There's so much to go on, and that's going to fall into A-Rod's argument in the playoffs. They have 5 DHs. Well, you want to add another one? So I like Suarez. I would have gotten him last year. I would have, but I think it's too late for that now. That's why Okamoto makes so much more sense, because you don't have to lock him into third base. And I really like Suarez. You guys know this. I was getting attacked by a lot of our chat for wanting to trade for him so much last year once he was struggling with Seattle. Yeah, people were like, see, you thank God we didn't trade for him. But I think it's too late at this point. Okamoto is the better fit for this team in so many different ways. And it pains me that they're not in on him.
It's really Okamoto and Amai would really solve so many problems in those two guys.
Right. Then you can use your starting pitching depth in the minor leagues to go get bullpen arms, and you're set. Like, you've gotten your depth moves out of the way with Rosario and Hill and Yarborough and even Blackburn. Then you can go trade for cost-controlled relief pitching with the strength of having extra starting pitching. And you can go take some flyers on some veteran arms just to have bodies in the spring. The Yankees love cost-controlled relief pitching. There's several options out there in San Diego right now, and they're listening on all of them. Go do it. This is what we're talking about, being creative. You're not breaking the bank by signing Imai and Okamoto. It might cost you a few million more than what Bellinger's going to cost you.
Combined.
Exactly. Imai's projected to get like $25 million, I think, and Okamoto is around the same that Yoshida got, which is like 16, 18 million, something like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's not... It's more. It's maybe like, $12 million more than what Bellinger might get, but the price keeps going up for Bellinger every day. He might get $33 million, which is insane to me. You're willing to give that guy $30+ million when you're already paying Judge $40, you're paying Grisham $22, you've got 2 outfielders that are ready now that you don't want to play or trade. You're going to go pay Bellinger again? Why? Because he can play first? Okamoto can play first as well, and he's a righty, and he's got power, he doesn't strike out, and he plays very good defense everywhere. He's going to cost half of what Bellinger's going to cost. You always want starting pitching. It'd be nice to get back in the Japanese market. Imai does not want to go to the Dodgers. He does not want to go to the Cubs, apparently. The Giants don't want to bid on him. The Mets don't want to go over a certain amount of years for him. He's falling into your lap, and you're like, but we don't want to set up a meeting with him yet. What are you doing? He is falling into your lap, and Okamoto's top suitor right now with the Pittsburgh fucking Pirates. Why are you not jumping in on this race? You can have them both today, probably, if you were aggressive enough. I don't get it. These guys fit your team like a glove. That's not even a baseball pun. That's just how it is. They fit your team like a glove, and they're just like, but we're poor. No, you're not poor. You can afford it and be better off than you would be if you signed Bellinger to a $180 million deal, whatever it may be at this point. It's insane that they really want to run it back. It's when the rest of your division's better than they were yesterday. And you're just like, but Paul Blackburn had a .9 ERA in his last 9 appearances. I don't fucking care. I want to win a World Series. I don't want the next Luke Weaver. That's what everyone's saying. Well, he might be the next Luke Weaver. Great. If he is, fantastic. You got $2 million for a stud arm. I don't see that happening. The guy was trash for an entire season last year with us and with the Mets. A good 9 appearances, great. Why aren't you not going all out to make the team better instead of waiting until the spring starts? Do it now. Get it over with. You're doing the same shit every year. We'll wait till the deadline. Well, it might be too late at the deadline. It was too late last year. Almost too late. Because if you would have made those moves sooner, you could have taken Devin Williams out of that closer role earlier than you did, and we would have won the goddamn AL East. Am I wrong?
Facts, man.
Yep. Where's the lie, right?
You can sign the next Luke Weaver. Luke Weaver's a free agent, and we didn't even make a bid for him. So I want the next Luke Weaver. Good Collector says, I miss George. You and me both, brother. Let's see. Any other questions here?
See, I don't.
Yeah.
I want to give a little pushback. There was something that Doran had said earlier that if we got, Suarez or Okamoto, then McMahon would be absolutely gone. And I don't think that's true. I think that if they got Okamoto, it actually improves your catching situation because then you just have Rice and Wells as your catcher, and Okamoto goes to first, and you keep McMahon in his glove at third. So I don't think that, I think if we get Suarez, yes, they would have no choice but to move on from McMahon. And you'd sacrifice a little bit of defense, and you're going to have to eat some of the salary probably. But I think if you get Okamoto, I think that solves the problem, not creates a new one.
Watch Okamoto go to Pittsburgh, get 790 OPS, 20 home runs, 80 RBIs in his rookie year. Bat like 280 and tell me that he wouldn't be a very useful player for the Yankees.
It would be very useful. And I disagree again, Doran. If they get Okamoto, they don't have to get rid of McMahon. Okamoto can play first. He can play the outfield in a pinch. He can play third, and McMahon can sit against lefties because he can't hit lefties. And then, when eventually we have to put Giancarlo Stanton on the IL, Ben Rice can DH. There's going to be playing time for all three of those guys because McMahon plays an excellent third base. Rice can catch better than he can play first. He can play first if need be. You probably want him more as a DH. Okamoto can play first and third very well. He's an award winner at both positions, I think. He's won the Gold Glove there twice. I'm pretty sure at first. I don't think the Yankees see it that way because Okamoto's going to they're willing to go spend $30 million on Bellinger. Okamoto's going to cost you half that. And you fix the platoon thing that they're talking about. And the righty thing they're talking about. I don't think you have to trade McMahon if you sign Okamoto. If you get Suarez, absolutely. But who's taking McMahon? Then you're going to have to eat more money. Just to trade a player? I think that to me is a dumb process of let's sign Suarez and then try to trade McMahon. We'll eat some money to do that. But you're penny pinching at the deadline because you didn't want to go give up the prospects for Suarez. So now you're going to pay pretty much 2 players to play one position when you could have had him last year for the cost of one extra prospect. Right,
that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, well, that's the Cashman logic.
Yeah, the process doesn't make
shitty logic.
Who the hell is Ali Sanchez?
A scrub. It's just a minor league. It's a minor league signing. They'll have an extra body in camp. They're probably going to end up trading one of their 18 catchers again. Maybe they trade Escara for bullpen help or something. Some random bullpen.
He'll come into the stadium and he'll win a game against us, because that always happens with the catchers lately. They always find a way to come back and kick us in the ass.
I have heard that JC has garnered interest in the trade market for sure.
You should.
That's the one thing that the Yankees do very well. They create catchers very well. That's the one thing that they like absolutely ace at. They have like a carousel of catchers, and they do a very good job with them. Like JC Escara did a good job developing him. Then he's got some value around the league. Austin Wells, despite not really hitting the way that you want, has been amazing defensively. Absolutely brilliant. We traded one of the Marlins, who I really wish we kept. really wish we kept. The Yankees have done very well with catchers. Yeah. Tanner Swanson's an absolute beast in that regard.
Yeah, Dave. What's going on, Dave? Wondering where you are. We don't know what Okamoto is going to be in MLB.
Oh.
I like him too, but I don't know if I take him to the bank.
You hear that every year about every single Japanese free agent. Just go sign him, and just go get him. They said the same thing about Yoshida. He's been fine. They said the same thing about Seiya Suzuki. He's been fine. Go get him. He fits your team so much better than Bellinger does at this rate. You're not taking a huge risk either. It's not like you're paying him $30 million a year. The Braves gave Ha-Sung Kim $20 million, and he barely played last season. You can get Okamoto for like $5 million less, I think. I don't think it's much of a risk at all, especially for a team like the Yankees.
Right.
They're paying DJ LeMahieu not to play for him this year. You think they're going to wind up? Oh, they will wind about $15 million, but they shouldn't. It's not like he's asking for $25, $26 million. He's going to get a similar contract to Yoshida and Suzuki, which they were not paid a lot of money for two pretty damn good players. So I just think it's a good fit.
Armand,
if that's the case, I mean, that's nothing.
That was the holdup. Actually, to keep him from the Mets, make it 4 years, because we know that Stearns won't go more than 3. That's the only way that's the way that the Yankees have to start thinking now. Well, Cashman should start thinking.
Well, no, then Okamoto will be a Met in 4 years' time, because that's what they're doing now. The Yankees are signing former Mets, and the Mets are signing former Yankees. That's all that's happening.
Yeah, what the fuck are the Mets doing, man?
What are we doing? Every time it's like no matter what, these two teams are just trading players around. And Dave, I don't know. I didn't like the move to get rid of the international director because it just cost him Juan Diaz-Season. And we were talking about Juan Diaz-Season for the last 3 years. Like, well, they're going to sign the top free agent in the 2026 class. I was high. I couldn't wait. I was like, man, we're going to get Juan Diaz-Season in here. He's going to be a top 5 prospect immediately in our system. He's a Met now. I didn't like that decision. I'm still mad about that.
Get rid of our development guy.
They better not say, well, we don't want to lose IFA money to sign a free agent. Fuck that. You just lost a top player in this class because of your decision to fire your freaking director of scouting. I don't want to hear them crying about IFA money anymore.
No,
you just lost the best player of the class.
That's a great point. We haven't actually talked about that. And I haven't actually seen anybody talk about that. I felt that was a miss. The Yankees literally just lost a top prospect to the Mets over their own incompetence. Mm-hmm. No one's talking about it.
Are we actually surprised? I'm not. This is just the way the Yankees operate. They cut off their nose to spite their face. They're constantly thinking they're the smartest person in the room. They want to make all these decisions without looking at the long-term ramifications of it. They're so stuck in their little bubble that they have no clue what the outside world is looking like. They got to get out and start touching some grass because they have completely lost, concept of reality on how the game, the way that the game is operating is evolving, and they think that we're the Yankees. The world revolves around us. Not anymore.
Yep.
Not anymore. The world does not revolve around you, Cashman. It's not revolve around you, Steinbrenner. Those days are over. You know when it was over? When the Dodgers beat the shit out of you in the World Series. And then it followed up with one of your best players getting on the train and going across town. That was the final nail in your coffin.
That should have been. I completely agree with that. That's a great point, man. That Asian thing, typical Yankee arrogance. Like they didn't really sit down and consider that maybe they might lose a top prospect by making that call. They should have done their homework. They clearly didn't do their homework. So they should have sat down with a season and been like, right, we're going to make a change in the international development, but you are a big part of our plans. It's not going to change anything. Something like that, and at least convince the kid that, the Yankees are the right way to go if they were to make that decision. And clearly they just went ahead and made that decision. And they were like, oh, shit, we just lost the top prospect. Oh, to the Mets, of all things. Oh, well.
Yeah.
We're the Yankees. Our process is perfect.
They only had a verbal agreement, and he was in the facility like 2 weeks ago. If anyone follows Los from Yankees Farm, you can just keep up with him. He was giving out all the information. He's like, there was some chatter that he was apparently going to leave and not sign with the Yankees. And he goes, no, he's literally at the facility right now. But he confirmed it as well. And there's a picture of him now wearing Mets gear. These decisions affect a lot. And firing that dude suddenly like that just cost you the top player in this class. So we'll see what it leads to. I have a feeling that the Juan Soto effect is real because he was very, very heavily involved in the Dominican Republic. When he was with us, he went there like immediately, and he was just talking to some of the players that were in the facility, and he's talked about the future, wanting to be part of a brighter future. Well, he just helped. He probably just played a big part in the Mets getting the top IFA player in this class. So there you go.
Well done, Mr. Well done.
Yeah.
And even if he doesn't turn out to be anything, he will have a huge, huge value attached so that you could trade him for a top star.
Yep.
But that's long-term thinking. And that's the biggest problem. They think that they can fix everything because this is why I can't stand Bone and his freaking mouth and his, I would take every player back on this team. I think we could run it back and win. And that's exactly what the Yankees are trying to do this year.
Yep.
I said it over and over and over again. As soon as he said that, I'm like, we're fucked. All right, he just gave them the golden ticket not to spend. It drives me absolutely crazy.
And have they spent? No. The most they've given out was the qualifying offer that they were kind of taken aback that it was actually accepted because they were like, we were prepared for both, but it seemed like they were surprised by the way they talked about it. They're like, oh, we were prepared if we took it or not, but they're kind of like, oh.
Shit, now what?
Yeah, that's basically what it was. And just, I don't know why that wasn't the wake-up call for them to be like, okay, let's just go spend the money elsewhere. Let's go get in on a Bo Bichette. Let's go be in on Imai. Let's go be in on Okamoto. And Dave, I don't know if Okamoto is the best option because Bo Bichette's still out there. And it allows them to get creative because I think as much as I like Jazz Chisholm, you don't plan to extend him. Now's the time to trade him. If you keep him and he's really good again, which he probably will be, he might have another 30-30 season. You can't trade him. If he's one of your best players again, you can't move him off a team that's trying to win. Yeah, unless they're shit this year, then you can trade him. But I don't think they're going to be that bad that they're going to be in a seller's market. Now's the time to move him, especially if you can go get a guy like Bichette who can play short or second. That's your chance to get creative. Teams are calling they're not calling other teams saying, hey, do you want Jazz? The teams are calling the Yankees about Jazz. That should be Cashman's kind of like ding in his fucking bald ass head. To be like, maybe I should go get maybe I should go get a little creative here and make some moves happen. And there's that word that we always talk about, creative, and we can make those challenging trades, as he calls it. I wish they would, Dave. I think Bichette's the kind of bat they need. He's got playoff experience. He had a freaking 3-run shot against Ohtani in Game 7 last year. Like, that dude was made for the moment. Yeah. He'd be a perfect guy to go get, especially because all the chatter's been about Toronto.
And here's why they won't move on from Jazz. If he's fielding all of these calls for Jazz, he's going to be like, holy shit. If he's that valuable, I got to hold on to him. So they're going to hold on to him for the year, and then that's it. He'll be gone.
Grisham's $22 million took a huge chunk of the offseason cash for this year. Yeah, you're right. Basically a third of what the Yankees had in their war chest. That's why it never made any sense.
That's what made it aggravating. Not the player, it was the money.
Yeah, the player's fine. I would never have paid him $22 million, never in a million years. You would have gone him cheaper had you actually just settled on a contract with him. If that's what, if you wanted him that bad, you could have just probably organized a contract with him that would have been a lot less than 22.5 million AAV. But how they didn't sit down going is this is not the best use of resources. If we've only got say 60 million, and Cashman, I don't doubt that he's telling the truth that he wasn't given a budget by Hal Steinbrenner. Well, clearly there is some kind of a budget because they're operating on a budget. Every signing we've made are on minor league deals or Blackburn and all these bomb ass players for like 2 million and all this stuff. Yeah. So clearly there's some kind of a budget, but it's on Hal Steinbrenner for not making it clear this is how much you've got. Work around it, right? Because I don't think he has. So I think it's just sort of like the Yankees are operating like they are cheap as shit, and Hal's just kind of sitting there, away doing whatever he's doing. I don't think there's a communication going on. I think that's my point. I don't think there's enough communication going on between the higher-ups, between the front office and the ownership as to what the exact plan is for this coming year. I think they've got a general plan. I think the general plan is to stay around 300. That's why everything is cheap as shit right now. But I don't doubt that it isn't a hard and fast. But that means it's just kind of leaving things open. So then the Yankees are running into these stupid mistakes, like a qualifying offer for Trent Grisham. Maybe had they had a better idea of what their budget is, they could have just gone, right, well, this is not the best allocation of 22 million. You know what I'm saying? We could actually use that in a better way. If you really need to get power in this lineup, which we did. Now they can't, but that's my point. I just don't think there's enough communication going on between front office and ownership, and I would say coaching staff, because we know that Aaron Boone operating that Anthony Volpe was just slumping, but Brian Cashman had all this knowledge apparently that he was much worse than he was due to injury. No communication between the coach and GM, so the communication through the entire Yankee organization is garbage. It's awful.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. And like they could easily bring in Bichette, Okamoto, and Imai right now.
Yep.
They could. Yep. And nobody would be like, oh, that's just the Yankees trying to buy a championship. That would be three smart moves, because then you can move Jazz Chisholm. Not that I want to, but it would allow you to open up that possibility of trading him to get assets back, and then you can use more assets to go add to your bullpen. So you don't want to spend on the bullpen, fine. The trade market's there for that. There are ways to make this team better, and you're not having to sign, when it would be three top free agents, but like, you're the Yankees. You should be able to afford at least two top guys per year, especially when you have money coming off the books. Like, it's just, again, could they make a move? Yes, Miguel. They absolutely could. Today, by 2 p.m., we could see that they signed Imai, right? And we'd be like, wow, they were lurking, as Ken Rosenthal says. But we haven't been given any indication that they are, because all we keep hearing is that, well, they like their team. They haven't set up meetings with so-and-so. We hear Bichette's name, but we don't see the Yankees tied to it. They're in on Bellinger. We want back Cody Bellinger. There's been no other ties. It's just been Bellinger. And sometimes you hear them get tied to Imai, but you don't hear them tied to Bichette. You don't hear them even tied to Kyle Tucker. They're not tied in on any of these guys in the trade market, right? Like the Mets were discussing Mason Miller and the bullpen arms for the Padres, not the Yankees, when the Yankees should be in on those guys. So that's why we're kind of sitting here like, man, they could be doing more. Not that time's running out, because you still got like 2 months, so there's plenty of time to make a move, and they could. I think they will. It's just the rest of your division's getting better. Meanwhile, the Yankees are sitting back, and you're hearing people like Jeff Passan say they like their team as is, and like it's like, we need a little more urgency out of you to get shit done, to make sure that you're not falling behind the 8 ball by mid-season like you were last year. Because if you go into another season with the bullpen full of minor league arms, what's going to happen? They're going to fizzle out, just like last year. just like last year. And you're going to have this issue where the bullpen can't get you outs in a big spot, and you lose key games that cost you a division title. That's literally what happened last year. They needed one more win, and they couldn't get one more win because of defensive issues or base running issues or bullpen issues. And it cost them a division. One game. That's what we're saying. Get things done before they become problems. The Yankees wait until they are problems and they go, well, we have the deadline. And that's when Hal says, all right, open up the checkbook a little bit more. Open it up now when the players are all available to you.
Exactly. Why does everyone keep saying the Yankees aren't doing anything? Well, maybe it's because they are the only organization that I know that have signed 0 people from outside their organization. Every move that they have made has come from within their organization. They have signed 0 free agents. They have made 0 trades. So technically, they have done nothing. They picked up a qualifying offer for someone 4 times his value. That's not. I'm sorry. I'm not getting excited about that. You look what the Red Sox are doing. Brought in Contreras, good player. Sonny Gray is going to eat up innings for them. You see what the Orioles have done signing Pete Alonso. Yankees couldn't do it, Pete Alonso. They signed Pete Alonso. And then, of course, you got the Blue Jays who needed pitching, and they've gone and gotten Dylan Cease within like 3 days of losing the World Series, essentially. They were on it. And there's a difference between the Blue Jays and the Yankees, right? What happened when the Yankees lost the World Series? They made excuses. They got upset that the Dodgers laughed at them for their terrible use of defense, but they made excuses and they doubled down, right? Then they lost Juan Soto, right? What did the Blue Jays do? Blue Jays went, no excuses. We're going to go and we're going to get better. Boom. Dylan Cease added. Kyle Tucker, what's the years? And they're talking to Kyle Tucker right now. Sounds like a team with different philosophies right there. So, yeah, I am upset at the Yankees because why are they waiting for somebody else to sign? You're saying here, maybe they're waiting for someone to sign. Why are the Yankees not setting the market? The Yankees used to set the market. They used to be the ones that are like, we need this player, we need this position, we're going to go get that position. But now they're sitting back and watching and waiting and hoping and praying. But by the way, every single major media source, including their own television network, are saying don't expect them to do anything. Their own television network are saying on the freezing cold stove, thank you, Tats, that not to expect anything. So why should we expect anything at that point? Jeff Passan, big Yankee apologist, don't expect anything. John Heyman, big Brian Cashman apologist, don't expect anything. So a lot of these guys are all saying the same thing. So I tend to listen. Now, maybe the Yankees might surprise us. I hope so, because this is disgraceful, right? But let's be honest. If everyone is saying the same thing, you tend to listen.
Yep. And we enjoyed listening to all of you today as you threw your comments and your questions. And that is going to wrap things up for us on this holiday hot stove Q&A. We enjoyed every moment of it, I'm sure. It was great having Rob with us again. I miss him. It feels complete now. Now I feel like I'm in the holiday spirit, like I said at the beginning of the show. Well, I appreciate every single one of you that dropped in your comments. Everybody that watched, appreciate that as well. So make sure you do hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out with your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner. On behalf of us, we do hope that everybody does enjoy their Christmas and the holidays that they celebrate. And with that, make sure you stay safe out there. Good eats, good drinks, stay safe, enjoy yourselves. With that, and always, wear those pinstripes of pride and play hard.